There was a particular shoot, I will say. He messaged me there, and he lived down in the south of Calgary. This photography that he was into, I was told it was going to be more of a horror shoot.
Okay. Yeah.
And when I got there, and serial killer type things,
Oh my.
he was taking out, like meat that he had bought from the grocery store, like things like liver and stuff like that,
What?
and trying to put it beside me and like make it seem like I was like being cut open, and I just incredibly
This feels
uncomfortable.
illegal.
So I cheer for Perfect Storm Athletics on the adult team right now. And
Right.
believe it or not, everybody is wanting to know how to activate their core properly. And I can tell you 99% of people are not actually activating it properly. Brought in my P90X again, like I did when I was 14 years
Right.
old, ripped it for 90 days, and then I lost 54 pounds there. And
Like in 4 or 5 months? Holy
yes.
smoke.
Influencer Insight shares the battles, stories, success of the models, influencers, and entrepreneurs as they find the balance of being influential leaders today while creating long-lasting impact for the future.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another session of Influencer Insights, where I have Ashley Belanger from Calgary, Alberta, joining me today. She's a mom. She's a fitness coach specifically for women in the Calgary area. And so she's got lots of skills, expertise in how to do bodybuilding, nutrition, and that kind of thing. She's also done some modeling herself. So we're really glad to have Ashley on to join us and talk a little bit about herself and her journey and where she's been till now. So welcome, Ashley.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me on here.
So good to have you. I know you're between clients today, so you made some time for the podcast. So we appreciate opening that up in your schedule. But tell us a little bit about yourself. You're from Calgary originally. You've got 2 kids. Tell us all that background.
So I am a mom of 2. I am a personal trainer here at a Country Hills Good Life location, specifically for women. I'm in the business of women helping women, honestly. Modeling myself, I got into it years ago. We have kind of a small modeling community in Calgary.
Cool.
It's not as big as other places.
Sure.
So everybody tends to know everybody, and that opened a lot of doors for me. And actually how I got involved with it to begin with was through a local beauty pageant, actually.
So you were in the beauty pageant, or you just
I was in the pageant. Honestly, I don't compete anymore. But I met a lot of friends, a lot of photographers along the way. And even back then, through the industry, I also am a graphic designer outside of my business here too. So it definitely had many doors in helping with the modeling community. But going forward, health and fitness has become kind of my niche.
Kind of your thing. So did you... was modeling something you wanted to do first, or did you want to do fitness first, or how did that transition take place for you?
Well, honestly, with the modeling, I got asked originally, and I'm kind of one of those people, I wasn't exactly too comfortable behind the camera at first. More so when I got to know everybody, I got a little bit more comfortable. I love themed shoots. So I was offered to do a couple of different themed shoots, and more trade fairs than anything at the beginning. And that was great. But I think going forward too, is I was much more confident modeling with other people.
Hey models, thanks for tuning in today. Hope that you're enjoying the episode. It's Ben here. I just wanted to invite you to the Influencer and Model Support Group on Facebook, where we've got a great growing community of people looking to help support, share tips and tricks on how to grow, become, and develop as a model. So go on Facebook, type in the search Influencer and Model Support Group, and you'll find us. Click join, you'll be added in, and you're going to find a great community of people to support you in your journey.
So some of the best shoots that I ever had was with a large group of photographers and large other group of models.
What kind of work? Was it a specific project, or was it?
So believe it or not, we actually were taken to a military base, and we had all these actual real weapons. So we had somebody on our shoot that was teaching us how to hold the weapons properly, and it was kind of like a women empowerment thing. And there was about 10 of us, and it was the best shoot I've ever been on, honestly. And I got some of great photos from there, but through the years, even though we've all kind of gone off into different directions, I still have all these girls on Facebook, all these photographers. I know one of them actually shot my wedding. So
Oh, cool.
opened up a lot of things. And I mean, I always felt comfortable with these photographers, but
Sure.
I always felt like they guided me in a sense of safety and protection on the shoots, and who not to work with and
Right.
what to look out for. So
Right.
that's why going forward with my fitness stuff, when I'm working with clients who are involved in the modeling industry, I'll kind of give them that little bit of insight there for just safety and protection for themselves.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things we like to touch on a little bit in our podcast here, is that, I mean, being a creative and working and getting together with other people is fantastic, and that's the only way you really grow. But you still need to be safe at the end of the day. You don't need to be pushed into doing things you aren't comfortable with, right, ever. So you said you connect a little bit. Do you still shoot some together, or besides?
I haven't shot in a long time, believe it or not. And I was even looking for my own photography now for doing some sort of a fitness shoot. Because I will say this is
Sure.
my body transformation through the fitness industry from when I was modeling to where I am now.
Right.
Vast difference. And we're talking about 54 pounds in difference.
Wow, my goodness.
So that's why for me even now is I'm actually leaving for Mexico on the 3rd with my husband, and
Right on.
I'm excited for that because I get to take this body to a beach,
Good
and
for you.
the first time
That's what
I've
you
been
work for, right?
yeah, exactly. So that'll be an interesting thing. But I also think as well with the modeling industry in general, and it being so tiny, all of us tend to talk and we
Yeah.
know different things with photographers. One of the things that we really look out for is what we call it's guy with camera.
Yes.
And this means that there's a photographer out there, he's grabbing the camera, it's just basic, he doesn't necessarily have the specialization in photography or anything, but
Right.
he's looking to get in it with some of the models there. And those kind of photographers, you get a vibe automatically.
Right.
And you, as a woman, I feel we want to feel safe, but automatically I knew when something wasn't right, or if I was being asked to do certain poses, asking to declothe, in certain
Yes.
ways. That was the one thing. Now I have myself done implied before, and that was okay. But the way it was done is with shadowing and everything. So it was done in a way that was like respectable. Some photographers aren't always that respectful.
Yes.
And that's the one thing that I tend to talk to some of the younger girls about
Yes.
coming to the community, is that they need to look out for certain things. They should never feel uncomfortable. Always come to a shoot with a friend, whether even a boyfriend. I mean, sometimes it can be a little bit controversial coming with a significant other,
Right.
but I don't say at least a friend if you
Yep.
do not know that photographer. If you do, however, know the photographer and you've worked with them a matter of times, then it should be okay.
That's different.
But
Yeah.
you don't need to keep your guard up in a way,
Yes,
right?
for sure. I think certain situations put people into wherever their mind is sometimes on a certain day can take you into bad places, even if you've done things before. So having support along is always a good thing, unless you're professional studios or people that are just volunteering time, watch out for the creeps, right? Like, it's just the way it
Yeah,
goes,
that's the
right?
whole thing. I mean, with the modeling I've seen nowadays, is the one thing that is being accepted around, which for me as a women helping women kind of person,
Sure.
seeing that all body positions and all forms of, if you're a larger girl or
Right.
small girl, it's all being accepted. And the
Yes.
same goes to our gym, and that's why when we have the girls in here, it is an only women's gym, so they feel comfortable in their own bodies and everything
Cool.
like that. But I'm happy to see even those that have a different body that they think wouldn't be appropriate for modeling, they're getting out there and they're
Yeah.
getting their shoes and they're feeling confident. And that's really what the modeling is about, is for you, your confidence. And through all of that, if you want to make changes for your body and health, self-determination, you're
Yep.
going to be able to do a lot more if you have the confidence behind that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everybody's got a level of beauty in it, and we've also got a lot of angles that don't look good. Don't matter, right? How well you work out, right? So I mean, I think the world going into the more of a place of acceptance of everybody is a really good thing, because people are amazing, and we need to celebrate that regardless of where you're at, right? So
Yeah, no, a lot of people I know have actually had the offers to go out and do things like New York Fashion Week. But the
cool.
problem I have with those kind of things too,
Mm-hmm.
just to for any of our listeners here,
Yep.
um, the problem is when you go to some of these modeling shows in New York Fashion Week, what they'll have you pay to do them. Like you are paying to walk
Right.
in that show.
Right.
I'd really like to push, if you are a successful model, there are things like trade fairs, but you should never be paying somebody else to model.
Right.
If they're offering you like a trade, that's appropriate, or if they're offering you a slight payment to do that, that's okay. But the problem I have is when photographers, designers come to you and they expect you to pay to walk in their show.
Right.
That's
Bizarre.
something that, yeah, it's something that, even my daughter as well, she's been offered to model on many occasions.
Cool.
She's more of a tumbling type girl, so I don't think runway is exactly what she's into. Um, but that's okay. I do have actually a friend of mine, her daughter just did New York Fashion Week, and she is an amazing
Cool.
little designer. And she's actually 10 years old, the
Wow.
same age as my daughter. And the only thing that I had a pickle with was the fact that the models were coming in to pay for the show that,
Weird.
it just didn't seem right there in that way.
Yeah.
But I know fully we wanted to support them. We didn't end up going to New York eventually. Yeah. But I've also done all of her graphics for the show itself out in New York, and
Cool.
her background. So that was kind of neat to put things out there for that. But
Yeah.
just if you are getting into traveling and whatnot, if they're saying, oh, you know what, you're going to pay to come on this and you're going to get this much photography, is that really modeling?
Yeah. Yeah. Just volunteering
Something
your time. Yeah.
So food for thought, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting thing, because there's a level of value in being able to walk in a show and get the photos and that sort of thing. But especially for the girls, I mean, man, like they can spend 2 hours before they even get in the car to go with, they got to do makeup or hair or whatever. Sometimes they're expected to do all that, and then they got to get to the show, and then they got to get ready. And so, I mean, if there's nothing of value put there, I mean, there's a lot of time and effort and practicing and physical fitness and posing,
Yeah.
I mean, that you got to get ahead of time. So have you been a part of any shows or anything in Calgary part of the world at all? Or how does that work?
So recently I haven't done anything specifically in Calgary. But I would say years ago, I did do a couple of little walks in shows.
Sure.
I'd say little runways that it was almost like a lounge at night, and some designers were showing their collections and everything.
Yes.
And I joined up for a couple things of those, and I didn't expect to be paid for them or anything like that. Honestly, when it came to being in Calgary modeling industry, we all want to try and help each other. I would say more or less now, with me looking into photography now that I'm out of modeling, kind of on the outside, and
Right.
seeing what photographers do charge. I mean, I honestly have to agree with them in the sense that their money, like asking for that amount of money, they're worth that price, right?
100%.
They time, the effort, the editing. As an editor myself, I know how much that takes. So understanding when a photographer is asking you to come and do a portfolio shoot, and you are going to pay them to do that, just know that their efforts, they put in a lot of time and money for their
Yes.
schooling and their tools and supplies to do that. So
Yes.
that is fine.
Yep.
If it comes to a sense that somebody is approaching you and asking you to pay certain amounts, that's the different part, right? So that's where you kind of differentiate what's right and what's not in the modeling community.
Right.
And you're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Sure.
It's just kind of like the fitness industry. I always tell all my clients, those who put in the effort are those who get rewarded.
Right. Every time.
That's a big go.
Yep.
So I want to make sure that everybody understands that coming into this industry, you're not just given the upper hand. You know, it's not like you're gonna hop off the street, you're gonna do a couple of shoots, and then Vogue is gonna approach you and be like, "Come to New
Yeah.
York." It really, for the mild few, it happens. I mean, I'm not Naomi Campbell or Heidi Klum or anything like that, but we just need to know the reality of what it is
Yes.
and how it is. So a lot of the younger ones, to be honest, and I have friends where their daughters are now a little bit older, and they're coming to me and they're going, you know, you were in the modeling industry, how do you get into it and everything like that. You have to work your way up. And one of the people in our city who I had actually the greatest respect for, God rest her soul, is Patty Faulkner. So Patty
Okay.
Faulkner passed away, and she used to run, you know, Miss Calgary and everything. So I know Lisa Harrigan, she runs that pageant. So Lisa specifically, she ran the Sun and Salsa pageant that I got involved with. And I have a lot of my, you know, support through the modeling community actually through her, because she started things and kind of that's how the doors opened. And she's still doing, you know, coaching for Miss Calgary. And I think she actually runs the whole system now, from Patty Faulkner when she passed away. And doing things like that, I feel safe, you know, along the way with my journey.
Right.
I look back at it now as a positive experience. I really have to say, I have never had an experience with a photographer where I felt incredibly unsafe, like where I need to
Good.
kind of run away from the situation.
Yep.
There was a particular shoot, I will say, years ago. So this person had messaged me. We used to use Model Mayhem a lot. I don't know if it's a thing.
Yep.
But Model Mayhem, he messaged me there, and he lived down in the south of Calgary. I had a friend with me come. This photography that he was into, I was told it was going to be more of a horror kind of like shoot.
Okay. Yeah.
And when I got there, and he wanted almost like serial killer type things, you
Oh
know, that
my.
I incredibly
This feels
uncomfortable.
illegal.
He was taking out, you know, like meat that he had bought from the grocery store, like things like liver and stuff like that,
What?
and trying to put it beside me and like make it seem like I was like being cut open. And I just, that there was where I kind of draw the line. And I ended the shoot and I was like, you know what? Thank you so much. This is
Not for
not for
me.
me. I really don't want to see pictures of me looking like I've been mutilated.
Yeah.
So that was an uncomfortable part, but I will say that photographer specifically, I didn't hear anything after, like, you know, but he didn't also force anything upon it. It was kind of like
Right.
just an awkward situation,
Yeah.
just something I remember in the industry. But other than that, I think that was the worst experience I ever had as a model.
Well, and probably, I mean, like you probably wouldn't have done it if you knew what you were getting into, but that's kind of something you probably want to go over a little bit beforehand, right? Like you're
Yeah,
gonna
and
have.
I mean, the way he explained it, it was like, I mean, I thought I was going to be in some sort of like spooky forest, dry ice kind of deal, like
Yeah.
Halloween kind of
Right.
thing.
Could be fun.
He took it 10 steps to where I just had no idea where we were going.
Oh well, that's a good one. I've never heard.
Yeah.
Interesting. I kind of want to look at his other work to see what else he's done now, but that's crazy. So yeah.
I don't even remember the photographer's name. To be honest with you, it'd probably be best for him to not continue.
Yeah. We won't expose him.
Well, unless he wants to call up Rob Zombie, you know, there's a
Yeah.
couple of movies sure he could work on. But
There's definitely a niche for him somewhere in the world. So all the best. Oh man, cool. Well, that's a good story anyway. It's something to kind of look back on and laugh a little bit, but there's definitely people have seen some pretty weird things in this industry, and it never ceases to amaze me the different dynamics. Like people think that modeling is, you know, what I got into. They're like, oh, you're just going to be up on your stage and you're like, you know, gotcha all the time, right? And it was like there's a lot more facets to the whole thing, right? You know, whether you're doing runway or pageant or you're shooting, right? And it's where people get kind of lost in the details sometimes. So that's funny. So What about your work now? What do you like to do about the fitness thing? I know you're working with women and trying to help them grow and that sort of thing. What kind of drew you into that from your experience with the modeling industry?
Okay, so this is going to be a big one.
Good. I like that.
So the one thing is that, you know what? I was an elite soccer player when I was younger, before I modeled and everything like that. I competed my entire life. I went to the National Sports Academy at Central Memorial High School, and it was great. But by the time I had turned 17, 18, all I had done was compete, and I wanted to enjoy my life. I wanted
Yeah.
to party a little bit, and so I did just that. I stopped with soccer, and I eventually met my husband
Cool.
actually through a nightclub, and
Oh,
that was I was
those are fun
19 years
stories.
old, very, very young, and so everything took off from that. And he's originally from Montreal,
Awesome.
um, so we started our lives together, and I expected our daughter at the age of 20 and had her close to 21. So
Right on.
2 months after we got married, and you know what? Things kind of picked up over the next 10 years where I forgot about my fitness.
Mm,
I really let go of things. I developed a state of depression that was
right.
really, really strong, and it was a problem. COVID came along, it swept up my graphic design business and all my clientele a lot, and
Right.
felt even worse. And then, even on top of that, my husband and I were having trouble having a second child.
Mm,
And that was a difficulty. So I kind of put a pin in everything, and had a fallout with a group of friends that literally, I would say, was a big, big turning point for me.
mm-hmm.
Uh, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to get back running again. So I started to run, and then brought in my P90X again, like I did when I was 14 years
Right.
old, out, and
Yeah.
ripped it for 90 days. And then from May 2021 to October of 2021, I lost 54 pounds there.
Like
And
in 4 or 5 months? Holy
yes,
smoke.
I blew through it, and I found out I was expecting my son 2 weeks after hitting my goal weight.
Very
So
exciting. Wow.
yeah, it was exciting. But then I went through a little bit of body dysmorphia, weight climbing
Right.
back on again. I still
Yeah.
ran all the way through my pregnancy. Then when I had him in June of 2022 there, I was, you know what? I didn't want to stop this health journey. I knew I had to get back going
Keep
to it
going.
again. One of the things the doctors tell all of us as women is you need to not lift anything. 6 to 8 weeks, nothing. But then we go home. We lift up our 60-pound dog. We drag around our 40-year-old on our hip.
Yeah.
Why can't we lift anything? You know?
Right.
And actually one of the most damaging things physicians can tell these women after giving birth, because most of them, they don't go back at all, you
Right.
know. So even after having my daughter, I did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So June, I had him on June 18th. July 18th, I hit the ground running again. I said no more. I said I'm doing this again. This time it's the last time I'm doing this.
Right.
So weight had kind of crept on, and
Sure.
I I managed to do keto, but I was also studying in between that time. I had already made the decision. This career path was not working for me. I needed something else.
Right.
So I started studying for my CPT, my certified personal training certification.
Right. Yep.
I got that. And then
Cool.
once I got that, I started at Good Life. So 4 months after I gave birth, my husband, who also he's amazing. He literally stayed home with our little ones because
Good
he
man.
was off the job too. So we role reversed.
Cool.
From the fact that he was out 2 to 3 months at a time when I was at home with my daughter for those like 10 years.
Yeah.
It was a struggle for him at first, but then I started to study for my nutrition certification and got that. Then it was bodybuilding. Then it was strength and conditioning. And so now here we are in September, and I've literally nailed off all those certifications. I'm almost a year in as a personal trainer. I hold down 8 long-term clients right now and about 10 other packages on the side. So about 18 a month right
Right
now.
on. Holy smoke.
So it's very successful. But when I hit my goal weight again in January, it was all about maintaining. Now, I have used certain bodybuilding methods over the past, like I would say 6 months with my own body. Just this summer, I went through more of a bulk and then a cut where currently right now, my muscles, I'm extremely proud of where they've stood. And my clients are all successful. They're happy. And I would say mental game, it's changed my life for the better. I'm brighter, I'm more positive, I have self-determination, and it's consistent all the way through. And so much so that my husband and I have never had a honeymoon. We did not celebrate our 10-year marriage anniversary. It is his birthday on the 1st, and he's never left the country before. So we are taking our first trip together outside the country to Mexico in about or so. And it's going to be phenomenal, but both of us deserve a break, and both of us work so hard, right? So
we're in Mexico.
We're going to Puerto Vallarta, actually. Nice. Yeah, last minute deal, and my husband booked it last week. I didn't think so. I thought we were going on a cruise to Alaska.
This will be a lot better.
A lot better. So it's going to be fantastic. But I think just with the fitness journey in general for me right now, I set goals for myself. I've always been about competing. And competing for me, I could have chosen right now to do a bodybuilding show, which I am cut and lean, and I'm pretty much performance ready at this point. However, I've just gotten comfortable wearing a bikini again. Standing on stage in some of the demeaning poses, unfortunately, I have such a respect for those women who are competing in bodybuilding right now. It just didn't line up as well. It's a little bit more training away from my kids, and I'm already at it about 2 hours a day as it is.
Not ready for that.
Yeah. And then CrossFit, I could join CrossFit affiliate because I do a lot of CrossFit performance stuff right now. However, that's another fee, another gym, more training away. So I run. I love to run. And right now I'm working towards 60 kilometers for next year for my ultra marathon.
Wow.
So I'm putting in about 25 kilometers on Saturday. So even today, after this podcast, I got 25 kilometers to go run. So
well, I'm glad you came on here first, because that would be, I'd feel really bad if you did that. But
that's okay. I'm not too tired after I manage it. I mean, a lot of people are kind of like, how could you do that? But
that's crazy.
Even so, right now, my route in Calgary, if you're a Calgarian listening, down by Angel's Cafe in Bowness, and I run home, and I live behind that ugly blue ring of 96. So that's how far I am running to and from right now.
Well, do you mind if, with the bodybuilding thing, it's not something I've ever done, but it's always kind of interested me. What's like if a show is or competition is 6 months out, what are kind of the steps to prepare yourself to get there?
So the first thing is going to be making sure that you're up your protein intake. I will say this, nutrition goes hand in hand with this. It's understanding your macros. Most people think that losing weight and getting show ready is cutting out carbohydrates, which honestly is not the case at all. Why would you cut your body off a source, an energy source that it needs to begin with, right? Scientific studies recently have shown that upping the protein intake, but keeping the carbohydrates and the fats, now healthy fats for that matter, at a relative neutral level, will give you the fat burning stages that you need to start eating bodybuilding show. I will say this though, it takes a really consistent resistance plan to do that. On top of me running, which my cardio, and that's just cardio, I am putting in about 45 minutes to an hour a day of resistance training. Now, not all the way through in the sense as I will add yoga, Pilates, and stretching, and I stretch like nobody's business because of the way that I am using my body every day. And that's why all of these things, if you group them together, it's a certain setting that it'll take to do this. Anybody can wake up and be like, I want to be a bodybuilder. But it actually takes, first off, how bad do you want it? Because it takes sacrifice, right? And the things that I sacrifice to train like I do, I didn't have the mental game to do that a couple years ago. But now I'm healthy up top here, which certainly I was falling in that game. That is the first thing you need to get under control. When I'm waking up in the morning, even because I had significant weight on me for quite a bit of time, I'd wake up and go, oh my gosh, okay, it's still gone, So
Right.
you have that scare. And that's
Wow.
why when you're training for bodybuilding, the body dysmorphia issues can fluctuate like you wouldn't believe. So
Yes. Yeah.
keep your mental health in check, line up your nutrition, make sure you're looking after your macros, protecting your body with stretching and making sure we're maintaining any injuries. Things like the knees go on me quite quickly because of all my running. I
Right.
run with patella bands. I'm also doing a lot of my stretching in the sauna to create that blood flow,
Oh,
right?
that's a good idea. Yeah.
That's better than icing. When I was icing at first, that was the problem. In my
Mm.
I go CrossFit kind of regimen class every single week, and my coach listened. He said to me, "Stop icing it. It's literally damaging your knee."
I
So I
know, man.
started heat treatments all the way through, and that's why they're a lot stronger. I'm
Mm.
able to keep going. And the one thing I'm most excited for when I get down to Mexico, believe it or not just sitting on the beach, I want to run the beach.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Running in the sand. It's a little different experience than pavement for sure, but yeah.
Exactly.
I love that because fitness to me, I won't lie, working out isn't my favorite thing to do, but it really, I like the results of it, of course, but it's also the kind of the mental game that really makes the difference, right? Because I mean, the physical stuff's good, and that's where you see the results. But you mentioned that a little bit. You got your mind kind of right in the right place. What was that experience like? Like, what was there a bottom point where you're kind of like, just sick of living the way I was, or and what did you do to kind of bring some of those mental health pieces back into place?
Okay. So I will say this. I was in the pageant industry for children for years. My
Sure.
daughter was in the pageant circuit for 6 years. Okay. And we went to California. We competed pageant extravaganza. I knew all these women for years. I created a little group of friends. It was roughly the five of us, and it was for about 3 years. Every single morning, we call each other, "Good morning, how's it going?" All this and that. I had a great relationship with them. However, there was one thing about these women. They were all obsessed with the keto diet and losing weight and things like that. However, I wanted no part in it. I did
Sure.
not want to do the keto diet.
Lots of
Um,
bacon, no bread. Yeah.
Right. And then at that point, like, I mean, I was struggling with myself too. They
Sure.
saw it, they knew,
Right.
and I would go to vent to them, but there became a point where at my daughter's birthday party a couple of years ago, one of the children had misbehaved and damaged my daughter's brand new present.
Ooh.
And I confronted her about it. And all the girls kind of grouped together, said I was too harsh on her and everything. Made my apologies. I even sent one of them chocolates in Edmonton. I brought them each flowers, tried to make up the situation.
Sure.
And one of them turned to me, and she was who I thought was most my friend. And she said to me, "Yeah, we're not going to talk to you every day anymore. You're going to have to whittle your way back into the group. We all created this other group. You're on the outs now. So you're going to have to crawl your way back in." I said to them,
Wow.
"No, thank you. I will never talk to you again." And still to this day, from that very moment, I have never said a word to her ever
Mm.
again, and I never will. But she is my driving reason and my driving point. And what I did is I was crying my eyes out for about 2 weeks. It felt like I had broken up with a boyfriend after
Well, that's
breaking up
such
with
a tight
girls,
group,
right?
right? Yeah.
It was horrible. And so I was crying all the time. I was sitting in the shower, grabbing myself and go, "Why? Why?" My husband came up to me and said, "Honey, I love you, but what do you want me to do about it?"
Mm.
That's right. What was he going to do? Was he going
Right.
to lose it? Because he wasn't going to lose it for me. Right.
Yeah.
I had to literally get my head on straight. And at that point, I'm not going to lie to you, I was having very negative thought process to the point where if I didn't get things in check, not only should I have been in a rehab center for like a mental game or whatever, I may have actually taken my own life at some point.
Oh
I
my.
was that close.
Right.
And I looked at my daughter and she needed me.
Yeah.
I said, "You know what? I need to do something and I need to do something now." So I did. And that's when I started running. So when you begin to run, it releases the endorphins in your brain. This
Okay.
makes you a lighter, a lot happier. So that's why running became like a big niche. And I mean, running was in my blood. My dad was a cross country runner, and I always did cross country when I was younger too. So it just came naturally, right?
Sure.
However, because I hadn't done it in a while, my knees were not tolerating it the first month. So my
Right.
knees just stopped working on me after a month.
Right.
And I had to literally go on the elliptical, subside all that
Oh, man.
to get it back. And then over time, just my mental game kind of changed with me doing all these changes along the way. The keto diet, which is a great tool for certain means, I do not suggest it for average weight loss, because I even turned to all these women. I said, okay, y'all did the keto. I'm going to do keto. I'm going to do it better than you all ever did. And I did. I did 3 straight months of it, uneducated. Also smoking 2 packs a day, might I add. Okay. I was
Wow.
a 2-pack smoker. And I decided, you know what? This, like the keto, it made me lose my hair. I did not know that you had to supplement with it. I did it because all the
Right.
celebrities were doing it. And the way these
Yeah.
women do it, they go, oh no, I'm going on vacation in 2 weeks. I'm going to go to do keto, and then I'm going to eat what I want, gain it all
Yeah.
back, and then I'm going to go back on keto again to lose
Start
it.
it over again.
It's just yo-yo dieting. It's unhealthy. And to be honest, it's meant for a diabetic to manage their glycemic index. So this average diet shouldn't be used in ill cause. Now, the only thing I will vouch for it is a body reset. So with doing this, it had reset my body enough to go through a healthy pregnancy. So I
Okay.
do say that keto was the reason I probably had my son, and also doing the weight loss. Weight
Right.
loss helps pregnancy in a way that people don't even know. So that's why I would suggest anybody out there trying to get pregnant or trying to have a baby, weight loss does make a bit of difference, right?
Okay.
Even
Interesting.
just making those average changes for yourself.
Yeah.
So after all of this, I would say to where I am today, I can literally turn to someone and speak for myself and be like, no, do you know what? I have determination, consistency. I feel respect for myself, a respect for myself that I never had before.
Right.
And I will say, I'm so glad that I decided to actually use a little part of my smart ideas at that point to be like, you know what, you deserve something better. Do this.
Right.
Because you're not gonna be here if you don't, you know.
Yep.
And my daughter, she's proud of me now to where she goes to school and stuff, and she's like, oh, you met my dad, but wait till you meet my mom. Like, my mom's so fit and stuff like this. And honestly, it makes me so proud when she says things like that. But I just want her to look up to me. And now my son's 15 months old now.
Sure.
But the one greatest gift that my husband and I could have given my daughter was to quit smoking.
Right.
And we smoked all the way through her little life. Now, I did quit when I was pregnant with her. However, we were getting married 2 months after. Having my mother-in-law and my mom in the same room, I could not do it. So I started back up again. My husband was extremely disappointed, but he again started up too. This time when I saw the window and my pregnancy was here with my son, I said, this is my window. We're done. I told him, you can do it at your own pace this time. Like, I wasn't going to push my husband. He did a couple of weeks after I did, and now it's about a year and a half later, and
good for you guys.
I feel much better. And the money you save as well.
It's like another car payment.
Yes, you got it.
It's crazy. I have lots of friends that got stuck on smoking, and I'm glad I never ventured into that one, because I can see it's a real challenge. And you know, once you get used to that, it's hard to replace those calming things in your life, right?
Yes, and I would say the one thing that I was having a smoker's cough all the time, and I was coughing all the phlegm that used to come up in the morning. I used to be one of those people, don't talk to me unless I've had my smoke in the morning.
Yeah.
Even in the first round of weight loss that I did, people used to tell me, you know, because my 5K right now comes in about 24 minutes. Okay. Said to me, why do you run so fast? And I told them I was running home just to get to my next cigarette. But now, as like, I mean, the running that I do, I can say fully is like, there's no way I'd be running 25.8 kilometers on a weekend.
No kidding.
Cigarettes that I once did. There's no way. Exactly.
Yeah, that's impressive, and what a goal to achievement to hit that, right? Because it's not just that you quit the smoking, but now you've got some other thing that kind of reaffirming that change in your life. So that's awesome. Very cool. Good for you guys. That yeah, and what a gift to give your kids too, right? That they don't have to get stuck in that same cycle for them too. So next 2 years, what are the ambitions for Ashley and the things that you're doing now? You're on this 60K run journey. That's the next one, but
Yeah, honestly, I'm excited to get my running certification and glute specialization because in here, in this women's gym, I battle a world full of TikTok on an everyday basis.
yes,
I
it's
get
super
young
helpful, right?
here and they put up their phone to me and they go, I need this big bum. And I
Yeah,
go, that's fine, Brazilian butt lift. But I can't give you that. And I can't help you with certain other
that's
things we
down the
can.
street. Sorry.
So a lot of them even come in here and some of them are moms and they've forgotten about themselves as well. And they want to know how to activate their core. And
Right.
believe it or not, everybody is wanting to know how to activate their core properly. And I can tell you 99% of people are not actually activating it properly. So if you were activating your core, in this gym, I have everybody speaking parcel tongue. And I say this is like everybody's seen Harry Potter if you have. So blowing out with an S sound through your mouth. So when you're exerting your breathing in, blowing it out, use that S sound through the teeth. It's going to wrap in your rectus abdominis and it's going to vacuum in all your stomach muscles so you're activating it properly. So now when I'm running, I actually activate it properly. So for the first time ever, which is my biggest point for my stomach, I'm seeing abs coming through, and
Wow.
that's a big deal for me as a mom of two, especially
Sure.
when you got those tiger stripes all down your stomach. I mean, I live with those proudly, but at the same time, I was looking into plastic surgery. I have so many people coming in saying tummy tuck, all of this. Do me a favor, give it your best shot naturally
Sure.
first. Don't need gastric bypass. Do we really need to spend 15 to 20 grand? Like there's certain parts that can be fixed by exercise. But
Yes.
as a mom, like, you know what? Everybody like got those tiger stripes. So if you were able to flatten your stomach and just be happy with what you already have and look at those as like that gave you your
Yeah.
kids, right?
Yeah.
Live with it. You don't need to spend 20 grand on mommy makeover. There's so
Right.
much you can do at first.
Yes.
However, disclaimer to all of these listeners, when you are working out, I had a lovely set of 38 double D's on my chest at one point. I no longer have them. I had a B as in barely anything there. Okay. However, I always had those back pains, and I even when I was running, you know, it's kind of nice to not have them smacking me in the face now,
I would
which is
imagine.
great.
Yeah.
So you do end up losing a little bit of your chest. And as a bodybuilder, myself doing pull-ups and push-ups on a regular basis using pectoralis major, they're going to
Gonna
be
happen.
going down.
Sure.
It does happen, but would I go in and get breast implants? Do you know what? I don't think so. And the reason being is because what if I go in there and it wasn't done properly, you know, and or my body rejects it, you know? Why would I go
Exactly.
through all the trouble when I'm so physically active? It would already put a damper on what I'm doing now. So, I mean,
Right.
each to their own. Anybody that wants to get breast implants, if that's an insecurity for you, absolutely. But I will say this: if my husband didn't care about them at all, to be honest, I wouldn't care about them either.
What does it matter, right?
Yeah, and I like being able to grab the size small off the rack and whatever it is and wear it and look good in it now.
Right.
Do I need a large set of breasts? Even being a mom of two, I will say this: I don't need to flaunt out there. Like that's not my goal anymore.
Right.
So I feel pretty confident with just, you know, having the smaller chest. It's kind of nice to have a break when you've had a larger chest most of your life anyways. And
Back pain
that
alone, I'm sure.
healing point. And I mean, if somebody doesn't like it, like for me, it doesn't matter anymore because
Right.
I just have my kids, I have my family, I have nobody I'm trying to impress. So
Right.
it
Yeah.
works out for
Well, and it's always, I think, what are you celebrating, right? You know, like your fitness aspect, you put in hours and focus in that, right? And so, like, what are people needing to see, right? And what are you trying to celebrate? I think that's really something to remember too. So
Exactly.
yeah, lots of good info there on people and how to get started and how to get moving forward. I think you've got a program in Calgary, Good Life, and specifically for women. So what are some, how do people get started if they wanted to start working with you? Or
Well, what they would do is they can send me a message, ashley.belanger@goodlifefitness.com. You can email me there. You can also follow me on Instagram at HIIT, fit AB23 is my Instagram. So, and then I post things on an average basis. And you know what?
cool.
Some of the stuff is a little bit intense, but the one thing I will say, I do wear many hats. On top of all of this, I am also a cheerleader. So I cheer for Perfect Storm Athletics on the adult team right now. My
Cool.
daughter is Ice Quake this year. We are storm proud family. And definitely cheerleading has been amazing for my daughter, both myself. So I was basing last year, but they have me flying this year, which has been quite unique. But every Sunday I go in starting in the fall, and we have our showcase in November. So we perform there. Now I have been asked to do a world team.
Cool.
However, with my scheduling and my clientele, unfortunately, I can't take on doing a world team because you do have to commit
Big
to certain
commitment.
things, like
Yeah.
going to like Orlando and Daytona Beach, all that stuff. But
Right.
I already pay thousands for my daughter too. So this, the adult team itself,
You're
we
enjoying
get
it.
everything from it, and I enjoy it, and I also get to feel how my daughter feels up there as a flyer.
Yeah. That's very cool. What a cool thing to do together, right? Because then you can compare notes or help train or whatever, right? So
Exactly. Well, I
cool.
tell everybody, it's like even in my graphic design, I create certain things and certain means, posting for inspiration. And one of
Sure.
my newest things is they said, so Barbie, everybody's seen the new Barbie movie.
Hmm.
Barbie said I could be anything. So I
Yes.
became a bodybuilding, CrossFit running cheerleader.
Perfect. Perfect. And
So
anybody
that's,
else that's,
yeah,
yeah, for anybody listening, I think that's a good thing to remember, right? And you know, we've all got different interests, and again, I talked about that at the beginning, where there's lots of different facets to the modeling thing, right? You know, where some people are into the competitions, and some people are into the, you know, getting cheerleading pageants, and remembering to be the Barbie that, yeah, you want to be, right? So
exactly. And my biggest thing is right now my logo, even on my bra right now, even on my water bottle, even on my computer is
sure,
a barbell Barbie. It's my newest thing.
barbell Barbies. Nice.
Yeah.
That's great branding. Wow, good job. Yeah, you must be a graphic designer. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Very much so.
very cool. Um, my final thought, and social media is social media, but at the end of the day, I think if people blew up or you went viral, you know, there's an opportunity to share a message with the rest of the world, especially being a mom. What would be something you'd want people to know from Ashley's heart on the broad picture?
One thing I'd like them to know is honestly, even though they may see things on social media with me and like, I mean, amazing skills and whatnot, it does not go painless.
Mm,
I have had a lot of a hard journey doing this. Posting it on social media, I will say, is that as a personal trainer, my manager, when I started this job, told me that there was going to be a social media aspect to this. And I always had Facebook. About 16 years of Facebook, to be honest, and just solely that. I never really used my Instagram. I had one for my graphic design. I still have it, but
hmm.
it's very light. Here, I had to start posting a little bit more fitness wise, and I'm very nervous in that aspect. Is I'm not one of those people that actually wants to go viral because I get like a little bit embarrassed and closed off. And
Yep.
being here to all of this, so wearing hearing aids and being actually, when I take out my hearing aids, I am about 98% deaf.
Okay.
Completely.
Well.
So I was nervous. I wanted to be behind my computer. I was scared a lot of the time.
Yep.
And you know, people will say all the time with posting and everything,
Yeah.
like you have to have some people are influencers. Some people do a really good job and they camera really well. For me, I get nervous about it. I go over things dozens of times, and even just making sure it's like edited in a certain way. So I'm not shoving it in anybody's face. I want to make sure it's like supportive. Those people looking at this, maybe just one of them out there, I don't know who it is, but maybe some of them will take it and use it in their own lives and make it a little bit better. I know that one person watching, they always say people posting all the time and their fitness and their gym stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, nobody cares about your fitness and stuff. Nobody cares you can do that. That's fine. You don't have to look. But for those that are looking at it as a kind of like a role model or looking at certain techniques, keep doing it, because that one person, it makes a difference to someone, and if you are helping someone, if I can help change somebody's life just minorly, whether it's my clients, whether it's on social media, or head them in a certain direction, I've done my job. I feel like I've done what I need to do and what I actually set out to do. Cool. So that's kind of why, just make sure when you're posting, if you feel confident about it, if you're proud of that moment, show the world. Just because maybe you have a disability, which certainly I have a disability, because in the gym, people will come up to me and I'm actually listening through music through my hearing aids, or they'll talk to me. I have no idea. Right. And right. And so I don't want to seem rude or anything, but I get really, really tongue tied sometimes too. I mean, it may seem like I'm really well spoken here, but
you are, but anyway,
a lot of practice, I do lip read a lot. And I actually lost majority of my hearing this year. Okay. And I was able to hear a little bit beforehand. Now they actually do want me to have the cochlear implant. However, I can't do it because they want a wire going down my back when I have a barbell on my back, and I wouldn't be able to swim anymore. I wouldn't be able to take it off my head. And if I couldn't change the processing fee on the recorder, then I have an implant and it doesn't work. Right. There's so many different aspects that people don't know. And then when I actually don't have them on me and somebody's trying to get a hold of me, or they're trying to literally coordinate, you have no idea how disabling it feels. Like it makes me feel almost dumb, and I do my best, but that's why doing all of this empowers me. And I know that I'm worth a certain point, and just know, whoever's listening out there, your determination, your efforts, they are not going unnoted. Noted to somebody, and they matter. So keep going. Right.
Yes. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And your story is really fascinating there, Ashley, because you seem to have been on a good track, and then things have kind of maybe didn't always work out, but then you kind of came back and you just keep going. And that's, some people, it just seems like they pretend like it just all happens in a day and everything's good after. That's happy ever after. But for you, I appreciate you sharing your story about that. It's life's a journey, right? There's dips and dives and things come and go, right? So ebbs and flows.
Exactly.
So thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate that. And we are going to follow you and try and track down your cheerleading videos or something like that to see where you're at in that.
Yeah, they're online. So anybody who wants to follow along, is like, come on down. I definitely am a lot less nervous about posting than I was a couple months ago. So I get some created stuff out there every so often on my page. And if it helps you along with learning a new skill or anything like that, jump into it. We all have to start somewhere. Just find where you're comfortable at and grow from there, right?
Yes. Yep.
Don't be scared to try a challenge.
Launch where you're at, right? So
perfect.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll look forward to catching up with you down the road. But take care for today. So.
Thank you so much.
Hey there, really appreciate you joining the Influencer Insights podcast today. If you've enjoyed this episode, I just would ask that you share it with a friend and give the video a like, or the podcast a rating, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite other player anywhere else. That really helps us share the message and grow this community as well. So thanks for that. Take care. Have a great day.